And one thing, I had reached out to the IRS last week, so I'll start with my kind of like what update that I have. I wish, because I had went to look at my transcript, and I used to have an A10 freeze code on there, and then it's no longer on my transcript. So I called them to say, hey, if you guys don't have an A10 freeze code, release my tax refund and run me my money. He's like, girl, no, this A10 freeze code is still all over your account. It's just not showing up on your transcript. So be mindful of that. For anybody who's had an A10 freeze code that was on their transcript, but now they no longer see it, it still may be on your account. And so you still have to deal with whatever they're asking you to deal with, why they have the freeze there. But mine was literally not on any of my transcripts for all of the 21, 22, 23, and 24 is no longer on those transcripts. I don't know why they stopped showing it, but that doesn't mean that you don't have it on your account. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but yeah, that A10 freeze code, I've been trying to get this thing off since August of last year.
And that makes me wonder if I have one on my account, because I have seen no updates on my transcripts in 2 months, and I'm still missing some 1099s to show up.
Same. I don't know what's going on with them and why they're not updating like they're supposed to be updating, but...
How are you?
Good.
The last time we were on, we were talking about the 575, and I went out and looked in the folder, right? The CP 575.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at mine now, and the coupon at the bottom is the 575B. So in the instructions, some of them said to, I thought they said last night, do not sign that. Are we supposed to sign that coupon?
I think they were saying that when you fill out the actual coupon itself to send back to the IRS, do not sign it on the front.
Yeah. In the instructions in the folders, it was saying signing it on the back. Is that not?
I think they were saying don't sign it. Stephen, do you remember?
Yeah, there's multiple trains of thought on that one.
Okay.
Right. So you can put your endorsement on it if you feel like it. You can leave it off if you feel like it. You can call them to do the acceptance if you feel like it. And, it's kind of hit and miss if they'll get the 147. Yeah, Wait. Yeah. People have called to get the 147Cs.
Oh, okay.
Or they have received them. It's like hit and miss.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on who's processing your receipt, basically.
Okay, so basically just on that bottom coupon, just put accepted, the date, and the phone number, and then just send it in to them?
Yeah, but then you also need to put an amount on there as well. So if you're going to do the whole 999, however many nines it is, you have to write that out like you would write out a check. But you just don't sign it at the bottom like you would like at the bottom of a check. You don't need to sign it.
Yeah, because there's already 8 or 9 nines on there.
Right, but you just have to write that out like you would a check. So you would write out 9 billion, whatever, 999,000, blah, 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 whatever amount that you. So let's say you want to do 50 million, then you just write 50. You just do pay to the order of, and then you would just write 50 million.
Okay. All right, and then when you're talking about the 147, that's when they send back the vouchers that we can use to pay things.
The 670 voucher comes with that, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. I'm sure that's going to help more than one, not just you, but other people too. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts, comments?
Hi, I have a question.
Hey, RP.
Just about what she just said. So if I have a bill that needs to be taken care of, I can make a copy of that and write that information on that CP, the 147C, and take care of that bill.
I'm not sure how that works once you have the 670 coupon. I personally do not know. Stephen, do you have any experience with that, or anybody else have experience with that, using the 670 coupon to pay bills?
Well, the theory behind it is you're creating a negotiable instrument, and the 670 has the identifiable information it leads back to your private trust that the state created. So it would be, you need to identify the proper payer, right? Because you're creating a negotiable instrument, which is synonymous with a money order. So you have to complete it in the appropriate manner for the recipient.
So, like,
And if it's some other third party,
send it to T-Mobile. You would assign it to T-Mobile, for example.
yeah, because it's like a pay to the order of that entity.
Okay.
Just like with a money order.
Okay.
Because that's what you're creating.
Okay. I have another question. Okay. So I have another question about that, because if I did a borrow from myself, would I do this process as well with the coupon, with the 147C? Because I see that on there it says make your check a money order out on the voucher. So I didn't do that step, and I am still waiting over a year for my borrow from myself process. And they said give them another 90 days. So
that wouldn't be to yourself, technically. Right? Because you, the living, are borrowing it
right
from your trust.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to do a money order, it would have to be drawn upon the trust to the SSN.
Okay.
Right? They just call it, borrowing from yourself, because in my opinion, the way it's presented is you are the blue card person, so it's yourself, air quotes around that entire thing.
Okay. Because I did the 1041 from the estate. Okay.
Right. Because in reality, it's you, the living, are filling out a money order to be drawn upon the United States Treasury to be given to the blue card.
Right. Okay. So that process, as far as writing it out, that is not needed. Okay.
Right. There's a video that goes, it talks through the entire thing. And it's been posted in multiple places.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Right.
Okay.
The video, there's a video of it, but it's just talking. It's like a zoomed in view of a 670 voucher. It doesn't have all the information, so you can't see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to listen to what's being explained on how to properly fill it out, the voucher, to make it a money order.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I did see that. one. Okay.
Yeah. And in that one, for that case, there's no endorsements on it for the reasons explained.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll yield.
Thank you, RP, for your question. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions, comments? Don't be shy.
Greetings.
Hey there.
This is Khadijah.
Hey, Khadijah.
Hey, I just wanted to give the group a tip. I was reading through the earlier post, and I can't remember which group it was in, RECOUPERS, but the last call, it was brought up about 4506. And I saw a lady posted that she called, not called, but she faxed it a few times, and she never got a response back. So what she did was she called them, and they sent a copy of the transcripts to a secured object repository mailbox inside of the. But with that, you would have to have either the 2828 or the 2821 with you as the receiving party approved already in order for you to access that. And if you call them and you tell them that you want, once that entity that you have on file shows up in your portal, when you go into the e-services link, once it shows up, and you can call them and get that transcript, and they'll send it directly to that inbox instead of you having to wait on the mail. So I just wanted to give the group that tip. I have the link, but I don't know where to post it just in case anybody needs it, because I had to go back pretty far to find it and read over.
Put it in the chat, today's chat, so we can locate it.
Okay. All right. Let me look for that, and then I'll post it in there.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, y'all. Can you hear me?
Isaac, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much. So I wanted to tell you all I had a little bit of success today. Nothing crazy, but not today, but 2 weeks ago I set up my sole prop, which is wonderful. And then once I got the EIN for that, I submitted an IRS TCC application with just a sole prop, and it was approved in like 36 hours. And which is amazing. So when I went and looked, they actually have downloadable spreadsheets, and you can put into it up to 100 forms into that spreadsheet and upload them all at once. So you can put all the data for 100 forms into that spreadsheet and upload it all at once instead of submitting one form at a time, which is going to make my ABB process for the last 3 years just infinitely easier. So just a note if you all are working through that process.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's awesome to hear that you can get a TCC number pretty quickly. I know when it first came out, it took forever. It took a couple weeks to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're
Yep.
saying you're getting it in 36 hours. And
with a sole prop. Yep.
yeah, with the sole prop. And now you're able to, and I think I knew that about when you go into Irish, you can do bulk. You can upload bulk in a bulk way in order to doing the individual ones. I've never done it. I always do the individual ones. My OCD just be making me won't allow me to go to bulk.
Yeah, I absolutely
I'm like, did it go through? Did they miss anything? Like, I don't know.
I'm going to test it. I agree with you. It's iffy. I'll probably start with like 5 just to see how it works out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, not a problem. The other challenge is I'm having, I think I keep hearing a lot of folks saying this too, with the 2848 and the 8821 for my revocable living trust. I think I've submitted that 4 times over the last 6 months, and I've gotten nothing, no CAFR. I did see that there's a slightly different way to do it. I think it's the Khalid method, so I'm going to try that one and get that submitted today and see if it works. But if anyone has any tips, I'd love to.
Can't you fax that too?
Yeah, I faxed them in. I did.
You did fax them in. They still not responding to you. And when you call to inquire about it, what happens?
Well, so the first thing that happened when I called is they said I don't have them, which is crazy. So I submitted another fax. They still didn't have it. And then also online under the e-services, you can actually upload a 2848 and an 8821 directly on the IRS website. I tried that. They didn't get it either. So I'm not sure what the challenge is. Maybe it's just they don't have enough human capacity, or there's something
next time you have an agent on the phone, make sure you fax it to that specific agent and stay on the line until they get it. Because they can do that.
Oh, they can do that. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Just ask them for their fax number. Say, hey, while I have you on the line, can I fax it to you directly? What's your fax number?
Thank you. I will do that. That's awesome advice.
And they should be able to say, yeah, I got it. We're processing it. Whatever, at least they received it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just want to piggyback off that. I've been having problems with those forms as well. They did respond to me and sent it back after me faxing it in, saying that I didn't need it for that particular entity. So I've actually submitted it 3 times now, I think. So I'm trying to wait to see what's going to happen this last time. I'm actually going to try to download as well. And I'm curious as to, is that all we need, or we need the 56 to actually get the CAF number?
You know what? For me, when I got mine, like, I had the same issue. I sent it all in, and then they pushed back. They said I didn't complete the form correctly. Then I had to send it back again, and I had to call, and then they gave me the CAF number over the phone, and I never got anything in the mail, nothing. And that's how I found out I even had a CAF number initially a couple years ago. So it's like hit or miss, like Isaac said. Like, it's hit or miss. You just got to keep going. Unfortunately, there's no exact answer dealing with these people.
So I got my CAF number, which that seemed relatively easy at the time. It's the CAF-R that's been elusive for me.
Oh, well, the CAF with the R on it, you said, right?
Yeah, the CAF representative for my trust. Yeah, that's the one.
But so when I talked to somebody in the CAF department, they told me that all CAF numbers have an R on the end, even if you don't see it.
Oh.
All CAF numbers is what the lady told me.
That's amazing. You just blew my world. Thank you so much.
That's what she told me, because I have 2 CAF numbers. I was like, well, how come my second one doesn't have an R? She's like, yes, it does. She said they all have CAF. They have an R on it. All CAF numbers have an R on it.
That's incredible. I think you just might have made a lot of people's day. Thank you for that.
Okay. I'm glad that I can help.
The 2 CAF numbers, they're for separate entities. Is that why you have 2? Because I
think one is under my personal, and one is under my trust or my sole prop or something like that.
Okay.
Because, you can go online and get a CAF number immediately. through the e-portal. And literally you can get it in seconds like that. But it doesn't show the R, as in Robert. It doesn't show the R in the end. It just gives you the 6-digit or whatever, how many digits it is, CAF number. You can literally go get one right now while we're talking on the phone.
Okay, very good.
And it's through the e-file number. When you go into the business side.
Right.
And you can get it. That's how I got my second one. But I believe that's through my sole prop or my trust, one of those. I can't remember which one it is. But my initial one was through, I believe it's just my regular name. I think my social. I can't remember. I have to double check. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere.
Hi, can I ask a question?
JW, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Heather.
Hey.
Heather, thank you. Gratitude for everything. I'm like brand new to it. So if you can say where to go to get that CAF exactly, would be great.
Where you go under the business profile and the IRS portal, where you literally have to put in your username and password under the business profile. And when you go in there, it's actually on the home screen. It talks about the CAF number once you log in. But you're going to need your ID Me username and log on. That's what you're using to log in.
I have that. I got access to that. Like, I'm on it right now. So I'll go into there to the IRS. Yeah,
to the business portal. So that's specific. You have to go to the business portal, and that's where you can get the CAF number immediately.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I did the process for the 1099Bs with the banks, with the deposits.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know, I think I turned them in probably April. I was wanting to know, how long does that take to process?
I would estimate at least 6 weeks. I wouldn't think it would be 6 to 8 weeks. So that's what is that, 2 months? So you said that's April, so it's been probably a little bit over 2 months right now. But they're behind on everything. That's just the IRS.
Okay. Now, what are they going to do with that? Is it going to show up on my transcript, or are they going to send a separate check? Because what I did is I'm basically claiming credits from the deposits.
What did you file a tax return?
I've already filed my tax return for the 2024 tax year.
Okay.
What I did was I just turned my 1099Bs. I did those online, and then also I don't say I made a mistake, but I did it where the banker was on the top and I was on the bottom, so I had to resend it and I was on the top and they was on the bottom, and I sent that in probably, like I said, in April. But that was after my tax return.
Well, yeah, but you still have to pull the money down. You have to pull the money down by doing an amendment to your tax return.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to have to wait until now. Well, let me ask you then, because when I did the 1099 bids, I did those for each year. I did it for 24, 23, 22, and 24.
Each year you're going to have to amend.
Okay, and pull it down.
In order to pull the money down, the money comes down through your tax return, which is tax reporting. Really, it's really not a return. It's tax reporting when you're going in and you're claiming it on a 1040. 1041 for trust, whatever report that you're gonna submit, you got to put it on that 10 in order to pull it down. That's how you do it, to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, if I'm still waiting on my tax return now for the 2024,
I wouldn't do an amendment, because you're gonna throw yourself into another 6 months of wait for them to complete it. Yeah, wait for them to complete the 24 before you make any more amendments to it.
Okay, so if I'm expecting a refund, just go ahead and just wait till the refund comes, and then after that, do amendment of the 24 to pull those credits down from the bank.
That's what I would suggest.
Okay. Now, and I have one more other question. I appreciate you answering that question. I did my 2023 taxes, and I'm showing because I did my 1099Cs, and it's showing up is it's showing up about 520,000 credit. It says federal something. Those when I did those 1099-Cs,
Federal
everything
tax
showing up on
withheld.
my transcript. I can't remember if it's under withheld. I can't remember.
Okay.
I looked at it this morning.
Okay.
Do I go ahead and do amended on that on the 23? Is what to pull those credits off?
The only way to pull credits down is through your tax reporting.
Okay, so I'm able to.
Just as a general rule, if you have a 1099, any type of 1099 that you have, in order to pull it down, in order to get it out of the IRS, you have to do a tax reporting, to my knowledge.
Right, and okay, so then I can just take that and use that as so whatever the amount, just use that as for income and just draw it down from the income withheld, put it in the federal income tax withheld. Like if it's like
I'm not sure how you did it, so I'm not familiar with 1099-Cs. To be honest, is there anybody else that wants to unmute if they have any experience with that?
I filed a couple 1099-C cancellations of debt. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the question?
If he has a credit on his transcript because he is the recipient on the 1099-C, how does he pull that money down?
Okay, so the way I understand a 1099-C is that that's actually income. It's unearned income that's received. So I don't know how to pull it down. I know how not to have to worry about it on your 1040 filing, because most of the time you'll have to claim that as income when you're doing a standard 1040. The way that I'm doing it, yeah. So the way that I'm doing it is I'm logging it as federal income not received, because I never received that income. That way I don't have a taxable liability for it. But the other thing and the only reason I'm doing that, and I want you to be careful with this, the only reason I'm doing that is because there's rules in the IRM that says if your net worth is negative, if it's upside down, you don't have to claim federal income not received as income. And there's a form you can go look up and fill it out. It essentially says my house is worth more than everything that I have, and it's a debt to me, so I'm upside down, right? Essentially is what it's saying, and then I don't have to pay for that income. So as far as pulling down the credits, I don't know. I've just been trying to make sure I don't have the tax liability.
Well, now I did take what those 1099-Cs, and what I did was I went ahead and poured it as basically income, because I had a large amount of credits that was coming from me from the because I did a K1, some K1 forms for the 2023 tax year. So I ended up having money left over. But what I did is now when I'm starting to see my transcripts, it's starting to show up as additional income. Now, I know how to pull it down if I use to basically just redo it and do the 10. I can do the Gene Keaton process where he does the 1099s, where the 1099s and W2s are like tax 5, which is exempt. And I could pull that down, but the only reason why I was scared not to pull it down was because that wasn't really considered income. It was my first time doing the 1099-Cs. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I'm saying I don't know how to pull down 1099-C income, but if it's credits, negative credits on your transcript, I would imagine it'd just be like any other process, right?
Okay.
Can I jump in here just for 1 second?
Of course.
How you guys doing? Okay, so cool. So I just had some information come to me over the last couple of weeks pertaining to this. When you get a 1099-C that finally shows up on your transcript, there is a form, and maybe someone else can elaborate a little more than I, because I'm like I said, it just came to me, and I'm not fully versed on it, but I do know what the form is. The form is called a 982 form. The 982 form is a reduction of taxes attribute due to discharge of indebtedness. So this form is supposed to reduce the liability of creating that 1099 or those 1099s as income. That's what this form is called. It's a 1082 tax form.
Oh, you said 1082.
I'm sorry, 982. I'm sorry, 98. I'm looking at two different things. I'm sorry. So it's a 982 reduction of tax attributes due to discharge of indebtedness, and It's a one pager. It's a one-page form, and you. So again, I haven't gotten the full explanation on exactly how to fill it out, but I know this is the form that takes that 1099-C and reverses it from an income to non-taxable, or a liability non-taxable. It doesn't become income towards you, because if you have discharged the debt 500,000, you're in a whole nother tax bracket. If you discharge 300,000, you're in a whole nother tax bracket, income wise. So you not only have that showing up as income, but you also have your W-2 showing up as income. You're in a total nother tax bracket.
Well, but let me ask you this then, because even then, even if you did it as the income, and let me say with your form, okay, because that would reduce your taxes. But if it's income, you can actually get the income back because of the 13.6 exemption. So even if I'm claiming it and it's showing up as income, I can actually draw that and get that back because of the tax code 5.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you have to understand that the 1099-C is the declaration of income that you have already received. It's not saying that they're withholding additional income from you. They're saying, we already paid you this. So there is, so you have to go through some type of conversion to say, no, I didn't.
Okay, so basically this best process with that is just using his strategy of using the 982 of the reduction.
Yeah, because on line 2, because like on line 2 of that form in part 1, because I'm looking at it, it says total amount of discharge indebtedness excluded from gross income. That's the amount you will put for whatever amount of 1099. So you can add all your 1099s, whatever you have that's showing up as a C. You can show them. You could put them on that one line. It don't have to be a 982 for each C that's showing up. You could do it as a collective. To my understanding, you could do it as a collective and go on and add it, and then in part 2 for a discharge of qualified indebtedness applied to reduce the basis of, and then there's some. So there's 3 parts to this thing. 1, 2, 3, and you just have to fill in where it best suits your situation.
Gotcha.
But it's a one page. It's very simple. It's a one pager, and that's my contribution. I yield.
Okay, I appreciate that. My question's been answered, and I appreciate it.
Thank y'all for helping each other. That's what community is about.
Okay, I have a question. I submitted a 1090. I did a 1099 ABB for my car, and Friday or Thursday, I received in the mail from the credit union, because they the one that had financed my car. And now that I know, I think I have to pull it down with the 1099 NR to pull down the credits using that. I'm asking because I don't know.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, okay. I'm not sure. With the NR, I've never used an NR. Has anybody had that experience with using an NR? The 1099 NR? I've heard of it. I haven't used it personally.
Oh, okay.
And so you said you got something from the bank?
From the credit union, yes. I guess there's a copy of what I sent to.
Oh yeah, from the
IRS,
bank.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's normal for you to get that.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't know about the NR process. You have to probably go and get the instructions for the NR.
So is your question that they sent you a 1099 NR, or are you trying to use a 1099 NR?
No, they sent it. That's the copy that they sent me that I did on tax 1099. So I guess.
And they sent you an NR in return?
No, they didn't send me anything. I was asking, do I use the NR to pull down the credits?
Okay. Well, to my understanding, and maybe someone else could add to it that is a little more verse. The NR is a 1099 non-resident.
Right, and that's what I'm claiming.
Okay, so you are claiming non. Okay, so then then that would, to my understanding, that would be being that that's what you're claiming. That would be the form to use. Yes.
I actually wanted to know if there was an example of that, of anybody that done it, to be sure that I fill it in correctly.
I haven't seen one, but I mean, you could probably just use the hashtag 1099NR like on other social media platforms, TikTok or
Okay.
things like that. That can probably show you that example, but I haven't seen one personally.
Okay. All right.
And
Thank
look
you.
at the instructions too, because that'll give you.
I'm gonna sit and read that before
really
I
go line by line. Look at the instructions and see how that applies to you.
Yes. Okay. Gratitude.
Thank you for asking your question.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, Sadie.
Okay. The only time I've ever used like any kind of NR is when I filed my husband's tax returns, like for a regular job and just regular taxes, and we moved up from Tennessee to here, and so the state was saying he had to pay taxes, but then when I did whatever it is for the W-2s, non-resident, it wiped it out. So it's whatever form you're using. If it's an NR, it's the same way as any other form. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, that's pretty much all I know about it.
Well, thank you for adding to the conversation. I appreciate it. Hopefully that can get her going in the right direction.
Of course.
Okay, anyone else? Questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for the information about the CAF number, because I was going to ask you about that. How do I get one? Okay. But in the same time, I also need something called a PTIN. How do I get the PTIN number?
That's through the portal as well. That I know the IRS has. You can get that online. Through go into when you go to the IRS.gov and just type into the search box PTIN and it'll take you to it.
Okay, so you can just you get it right away.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, awesome. Cool.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I got something for you.
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
On that 2848, when I filed mine, I filed 8821 at the same time. When I called the IRS a couple months later, they said they had the 8821, but they hadn't received anything else of mine. She said I was going to have to send it all again. Well, then, no sooner than I get the paperwork ready, I get my 2848 back, and it's got like 5 different received stamps on it. And they're telling me, well, you didn't have to do this for your own name, of course, but then they sent me a CAP number with the R on it anyway, even though I already had a CAP number without the R that I got just calling them. But yeah, they sent it all around, and it has several stamps on it, and then they ended up sending it back to me telling me I didn't need it. So I don't know. But you can still get your CAP number. It just takes them forever to process the paperwork, it seems like, anymore.
Good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
And I do have one question if we're just asking questions in general.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is about ES and Vs. I sent mine out certified mail back in January, but I didn't know about the return receipt card being a bond ID. So I'm wondering, should I just file a 1099A on the certified mail number, or should I resend them with the certified mail return receipt requested card, the green card, and then go with it?
I personally am not familiar with the whole green card, using that as a bond or whatever it is. I'm personally not familiar with that. Does anybody else have any experience with doing something? I know Kay Marie used to talk about that, and I just wasn't focused on it at the time.
Right.
So is there anybody else that can speak to the green card and how to use it once you receive it and turn that into?
Well, see, I know how to put the A together once you have it, but I just failed to use the green card. All I've got is the certified mail number. I don't have the return receipt number. And I think that's binding in that. I don't know.
The certified number off of the green card that's it.
Well, okay, just a second. So the certified mail is the mailing number, the tracking number.
Yeah.
Green card is the bond number. So what I'd say is just remail it. Make sure you send it with a green card, and then fill out a 1099-A.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I figured that'd probably be the easiest way to do it. Thank you very much.
There you go.
No problem.
I yield.
Come on, community.
Yeah, just be prepared to stand in your square on that one. Just like all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they don't want to recognize it. But the fact that they accepted it means that they accepted the offer under UCC.
Right. Absolutely. So it becomes binding.
Right. Because like the major thing that a lot of people don't get it, and there's probably agents posting it about it, is they said, oh, they adjusted my tax return and put it to 0. Like, so what? They're just saying that the people who are not the ones with firsthand account, who cannot attest to the veracity of a claim, said something.
Right.
It's our account. We are the firsthand witness. We can make an affidavit
absolutely
stating as such, and I don't care if they lost a negotiable instrument, which is a felony. I don't care. That's their problem, not mine, which means they either need to set it off or discharge it, which would go to my account.
So it's a win-win either way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter, because that's the way the rules are written. If you know how to play the game, you win.
Absolutely.
In fact, the UCC says the only way that they can that this is not an applicable payment is if they give you a notice of dishonor, and not what.
Right, and they must return it.
Exactly.
They must return it. If they do not return the original document you sent, so if they have internal policy that says if it doesn't matter, throw it away, shred it, burn it, congratulations, they accepted the contract. Just because they make an internal policy doesn't mean they can override the law.
So what if they say they lost it? Like I sent something back in 2024, the beginning of 2024, like February 2024, the tracking number was received, and it was a priority mail express. And then every time I call my trust, they say, oh, we don't have anything. We don't have your tax return. We don't have anything that you sent in, which was some bill of exchanges that I sent in. It was multiple.
Well, then they have to act in honor. And the whole thing of acting in honor is they must either set it off or they must discharge it and credit the account. That's the only way to handle it. Because you have a claim of the value. They either accept it or reject it in dishonor. Well, I mean, no, to stay in honor, they can reject it, but they must return it and they must tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly the reason when I got that. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's like, because this is exactly how the UCC is written, which is why if you don't comprehend the UCC, read it again and read it again and read it again. Because if we send them anything to any other entity claiming we have it, unless it's a private contract where we can dictate the individual terms, if it's a public contract, UCC applies. The IRS is a public entity. They're boned. They must follow the UCC. Otherwise, they must attest under oath that they do not follow the UCC, in which case contract law doesn't apply here. In which case, none of the contracts apply here.
UCC.
So that means none of the contracts are valid. Yeah, exactly.
The system would crumble.
Exactly. So they either accept it, set it off, or discharge it and credit the account. So when we send in the 1040 ES and Vs, if they send you a voucher, a 670, fill it out, send it back. I got one sitting right here on my desk I need to mail in. Because either they accept it or they set it off. Because they have to reject it, they must return it to me. That's UCC.
So you're saying that I could just stand on my square and force them to recognize those if I wanted to?
If you have the green card.
Right.
No, I
you don't have
green
the
card.
return receipt. You
No.
don't have the acknowledgement.
Okay, so that's what is missing. I got you now. But as far as
Right,
that
because
UCC,
stuff does get lost.
Yeah, as far as that UCC, oh no, I sent my 2024 tax return to them express mail, and that was 6 months ago, and they never even acknowledged receiving it. They told me I sent it to the wrong place. They threw it away.
Congratulations. Now you have a claim with the Postal General, which is above them.
Yep.
So now they owe you the value of it. Can you attest to the value of the documentation that you sent to them?
Why not? Sure.
Now you have a claim. Now the Postal General has a claim.
Aha.
I have had packages stolen by UPS people. I went straight to the IG, Postal IG. That sucker showed up 2 days later.
Oh, wow.
It's magical when you get the post office involved because they have direct command of the military.
Right. I had a registered mail return receipt requested sent to the Secretary of State, and they lost it and never found it. And that had my my notice of non-decedent status in it. They could not come up with it. Yeah. And as far as that UCC, I'll tell you what, I've read a lot of books in my life, but that is the most fascinating puzzle book I have ever come across. Not only does it give you the rules to the game, it tells you how the rules can be broken and what to do when you find the broken. It's an incredible book. It really is.
So speaking of the UCC, a while ago, someone was talking about the pay yourself, which is probably a misnomer, but the 1040 ES&B process. I also received a letter back that said, thank you very much. We've zeroed out your account. You owe us no taxes. Right before that, I received another letter that essentially said, we haven't received your payment. And this is the same one that I think everyone's gotten. So whenever we received that letter that said we haven't received your payment, I sent back a letter of conditional rejection, essentially telling them that unless they can prove that the instruments I sent were malformed or not processable according to the IRM, then they need to credit my account. So I'm waiting for that one to be processed, and we'll see what happens there. It wasn't an incredibly challenging letter to write, especially if you have like a GPT. It could be just as basic as I just said. I included some of the IRM references in there as well. But that's also one way to stand in your square when they do this to you, and just say, I sent you instruments, valuable instruments, you haven't credited my account for those valuable instruments.
Right. Because it's, as you know, lots of people say it, but most recently, as of yesterday, sovereigns. The United States was created by sovereigns. Sovereigns dictate. They don't ask permission. So when we write them letters, we are dictating. They created a framework for them to operate, to comply with what they have been directed to do. And this is like where the major hurdle for anyone outside of this group. People who made it into this group made it for a very particular reason. A lot of them still don't get it, which is why they get so disheartened. They said, we've adjusted your transcript. We are the sovereigns. We can't have a sovereign nation without sovereigns. Because otherwise you wouldn't be sovereign, because a nation by itself, it wasn't created by God. He created the living. The living created something, a construct. So when we follow their rules, or just we say, do it. If they say, no, we're not going to do it, say, well, I've got a bunch of rules that you just broke. When they did it to mine, I clapped back. I said, congratulations, you broke this law, and that law, and you broke this code in the IRM, this code in the IRM, and this code in the IRM. These are all violations of trust law. Do it. Here is my accounting. Go update your records. Granted, they haven't updated jack on my things, but I have not heard a single peep from them. I need to reach out to them. It's like, why aren't you doing any of the things? Why are you acting in dishonor? According to UCC, this, and that, just like the gentleman that just spoke, unless they can prove it. So if someone who is an agent within their organization decided to be, well, they're not going to get one over me because I can't do it. Congratulations, guy. You decided to be subject to these regulations. You need to follow them or felony your way out. because that's the whole point of being a federal employee. Follow these rules or felony break them or relinquish your position. Because to be in service for the Federation, the Republic, is an honor, which means you must remain in honor, which is enumerated in the UCC, how to remain in honor. Should they break it and decide to just throw it away, they're dishonoring, which means they either have to prove it or they have to do it. And a lot of people don't like that conflict. They just like to ask one time and then say it didn't work. Well, they're specifically designed and trained to say no the first time. If someone does something one time and you get a success, congratulations, you found the person who was actually on your side on the other side. The rest of us should expect them to say no's. Yeah, please go ahead.
I had that happen to me just the other day. I called and tried to confirm my CP 575B over the phone and get the LTR 0147C. And I'd already received the 147C. So I'm on the line with this lady. She puts me on hold 3 or 4 times. Then she sends me to another woman, and they literally lied to me and told me that it didn't exist. I said, I'm looking at the Internal Revenue Manual right here that's talking about it. I said, look, I'll just take care of this some other time. And I hung up the phone. And 4 days later, I get the letter with the 0147C letter in it.
Yeah,
so they lied to me and told me it didn't exist, but then they sent it to me anyway.
Right, because they are allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm. If you don't stand on it, if you don't stand on it, they will break you down and make you believe whatever they want you to believe. You just got to stand on your square.
Right, because here's the thing, and here's why they're allowed to do it. You cannot believe everything that someone says. You should always, since they decided to do the rules way back in the day, they're all minors. Until someone can pass the competency test to prove that they are not a minor, you will treat them as a minor. As we as adults, we cannot speak of adult things to children.
Absolutely.
Because they're minors. It's against the law. It's in a...
Yep, I totally agree.
It's dishonorable. So we have to make up lies to treat children, right? So that's how they treat us. So when they do these sorts of things, if you know what you're doing, like you had a great setup there, you already had the document in your hand. That right there, potentially you could report them because every call with them is recorded. All of us are allowed to record calls with them. If you put them on notice, either they have to act in honor or they have to act in dishonor. If they act in dishonor, we have an avenue to seek compensation or recompense.
Remedy. Yes, sir.
Remedy. Exactly. So we can have their jobs. All we have to do is prepare to stand on your square.
Yep. You know, Obama made a comment. I've seen a video that he made a comment several years ago about American people not being smart enough to handle their own affairs. And I believe this right here is exactly what he was talking about. Right. We don't know this stuff, so we can't handle our own affairs.
Right.
Yeah. I believe he was talking about the financial system all the way around.
With everything. It's all the finance system. Everything we do and interact with out in society is the finance system. It's just got makeup on it to look like something different.
Lipstick on a pig.
Oh. And nobody knows it's a pig, so they think it's a grand time.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Thank you for that good conversation. Does anybody have any further questions or thoughts or comments?
Yes. I have something to add to the conversation.
Go ahead.
So, how you, Doc? I didn't even say hi to you yet. How you? You good, sis?
I'm good. Thank you. We're good.
And everybody else on the call. It's interesting because I was going through. I had reached out to you about the letter, the 670 voucher, and I had moved. So I was going through my paperwork the other day. Come to find out, going through all these IRS mailings that I hadn't gotten a chance, that I opened up but really didn't pay attention to because I was in the process of moving. I not only have the 670 letter for my blue card person, I also have the 670 for my trust, but I also didn't realize I have the 670 for my sole prop as well. And so I took those, I made the copies of the vouchers, and I mailed them, mailed them out as money orders. And I believe that the 21 and 23 vouchers that was for my blue card person and for my trust was the ESs and the Vs. So I filled them out accordingly, with the money order on top, just like the video, as we were talking 2 weeks ago, like the video. So I mailed those off. But the interesting thing is, I never sent off the CP 575 in order to get those 670s. Is that a norm, or is that just a one-off, or is there something else I need to do?
You must have done something. So maybe did you file a tax return in reference to those particular entities, and then they sent you a voucher?
See, here's what I did. I did do. I did I sent in, or I did a 1099. I did an OID on my Social Security trust in the form of $9 billion. So instead of sending in a CP 575, like last year before I even understood how to fill out the CP 575, I was attempting to do an acquisition on the Social Security trust under my blue card person. That in turn showed up on my transcript in the form of what everyone else has, the $2.1 billion, so on and so on and so on, for millions. That showed up. And at some point last year, I started to get these letters, or shall I say the vouchers. And like I said, not realizing what they were, I knew not to throw them away, but I didn't know what they were. But I opened them up and I set them to the side. I said, once I get settled in, then I'll come back and I'll look at it. So now I'm going through all of my files and my papers, and come to find out I had these vouchers since February, earlier this year. And it's crazy. I never knew I even had it. So my suggestion is to everyone that's on the call, go through your paperwork. Go through your paperwork and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because you may have done something that triggers something, and you have something in your possession that you don't even realize you have.
Agreed. And here's the significance of it. You filed reports indicating that activity has already occurred. The particular agents, some of them are actually on the good side, will look at this stuff and they'll see that individuals are starting to move in the right direction. And they will send out these forms because they are wanting us to fill them out and remit them so that there is the payment according to the UCC. That is the significance of all of this, which is a whole bunch of the effort behind and the direction for doing the ES and the Vs. It's to force the IRS to recognize that we're starting to move in the right direction. They will not come out and tell us because they can't, because we're children in their eyes until we are not children in their eyes, which means we've already done all the things we need to do and we're in the private. Then they can talk to us all day about it. You could talk to your bank manager about it if you know what to say and you can prove yourself in a simple conversation. But they're sending us the documentation, the 670s, because they want us to send in the appropriate negotiable instrument. the payment. Because the reports are just the reports that we have done it. And they're saying, hey, quietly, they're like, hey, we don't really see a payment here. Here's this document that says used for payments. And we're not going to explain jack about what that means. Because if you know, you know. So if you have those 670s, you've got the payment that needs to be completed to submit to meet the demand of we haven't received your payment. It's all on us to act and move accordingly as we see fit.
Right. So now, with me having the 670 for the sole prop, like I said, I never, because I couldn't even find my CP 575 for the sole prop, and this is why I'm saying, look, everyone here, like, look at your paperwork, like, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because I couldn't find my CP 575, and I mean for the sole prop, because I did the sole prop years ago, because I was trying to do a business and I was doing it in the name. So what happened is, for me, when I went through and saw this 670 voucher, I'm saying, well, at this point now I'm saying, well, what is the value of, what is the value of this voucher? Because it is for payment and for inquiry only voucher. So it's got it has the two vouchers. And I'm like, well, what is the value of this? And what do I do? But nevertheless, I didn't do an ES and or V for the sole prop, but I made a copy and I made it into a money order and I submitted it anyway, just to see what the IRS would do with it.
Yeah, and I'll go even further still. Because you made moves, because you demonstrated a certain level of competency in a particular area, the agent recognized that you probably need some assistance in your other areas. So they sent you documentation without you asking for it. Because they're dropping breadcrumbs.
Yes,
right? They see that you know what you're doing, but you haven't submitted over here. Like the IRS on the back end, when you do certain actions, they will act without you being, informed.
Right.
And they will do it for your benefit. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're confused because you're like, why did they do this? And you must find the meaning there because you've already supposed to have known it.
Because you said something.
Exactly.
Or you did something. You said something, you did something. So now so I sent an offer. They accepted. Now they sent me an offer back, and now I'm supposed to accept it and return it in order for them to perform. I got it.
Right. It's like,
I got it.
Because of the moves you made, they took next steps and are waiting for you. Just like I'm just looking at this form here. And why would you ever use all capital letters on an official document? Because there's a particular connotation of using all caps when you're providing a direction. It's like being very sternly talked to. Cut out and return the voucher at the bottom of this page if you are making a payment. All caps, period. Because that is someone telling each of us, we haven't received this just yet, and we want to do something, but we haven't received a payment. Look up the definition of a payment. So they're giving us the thing that they're requesting. They are literally giving us the remedy in the request.
Right.
If we know, we know. If we don't, we're lost, which means we're still children.
Because even in the sending to, even the sending, quote unquote, because I got this letter too, and I had to respond to them where they sent me a letter saying, "Hey, you did something on a filing for 2021," and I'm almost sure I knew exactly what it was. Was I was filing at 4852 and all this other. So maybe I didn't do it properly and or correctly. So they sent me a letter saying, "Hey, you said something, and we're going to label it as frivolous if you don't respond back to us in a certain amount of time and send a levy." So what I did was I sent them the withdrawal so I wouldn't be penalized, but I said I needed to give them a call to see if someone can explain to me, "Hey, I didn't mean to do that, but what is it? How can I correct it? Or is there no way for it to be corrected and it just needs to be withdrawal so there's no penalty assessed?" So that's my call that I'm going to make next week, because they sent it to me on my trust side, saying that I filed something and it was frivolous. But if you get back to us within a certain amount of time, just to withdraw it, we won't do anything. We won't move on it any further. So I did that just to calm it down. And now I need to call them just to say, "Hey, you sent me this letter, but I wasn't totally understanding why. Can you explain?" And see if I get an explanation.
Well,
Hey, man,
here's
jump in real
something
quick.
that you may or may not be aware of. And when you get that letter, that is literally them extending credit, right? So when they say, "We might just give you a frivolous position," it's already updated in the records. For them to generate that letter, there is an entry pending on your account for that amount of money, $5,000. So they already have updated their ledger. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when someone says,
I'm not.
"I retract my entire statement, please don't hit me with that," they take that credit for themselves. But what can occur is you say, "This documentation that you identify as being a frivolous filing, I redact it, and I wish for the credit to the same of my account for the frivolous filing," because it's a credit. Because they have to deduct it from one side of the ledger and put it somewhere. This is a valid argument in accounting because you have to balance a ledger. Because if they're going to levy a $5,000 deduction, a debit, against your entity, there's got to be a credit. So if I'm going to redact this paperwork, this is a conditional acceptance. I want that credit credited to my account.
Not necessarily saying generate a payment, but just credit it to the account.
Right. Because to move it from one ledger to another ledger, it must be a debit and a credit.
That's right.
So then you can still go with "I want someone to explain this to me." Explain exactly in this process where exactly it was not appropriately filled out. Because if someone can't explain where it was inappropriate, hell, I might just resubmit the entire documentation bundle and reassert my position. Right. You want to go again? I'll take another $5,000 from you. I don't care. You're taking it from my trust account anyway.
Right. Stand on your square. That's right. I yield. I'm good. Thanks.
It's all part of the necessity KV to keep you from your inheritance. Like it will keep you working, and have the 3 generations pay for what happened for the 3rd generation. If what I'm saying makes sense.
It does in one way, but fully on my ear, no.
No, meaning, it's called taxation. Meaning, even if you quote unquote own it, you don't really won't own it, and we'll tax it. Or even if you go to your deathbed, you buy the house forever amount, submersible amount, your children gonna have to pay for the debt. and they can't pay for the debt, it'll go right back into the system.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I got that. So if you basically, if you don't correct it for your side, they'll correct it for you, and it'll be for them versus being in favor for you.
Presumption of death.
Actually, can I share something with you guys? Someone I know, basically, he likes to challenge territorial jurisdiction, but then he said something very important in some sentences, and then something flipped in the court. And he was like harassed, and with a traffic case, and town was coming after him for quite a while. And then when he filed the document, all of a sudden something flipped, and he became a king. And they will bend over and get rid of all their debt. Their wife's dead, daughter's dead, they're debt free. And one day he had a party, and neighbor calls, for like 10 o'clock at night, they were partying. The sheriff came, police came, and they looked at something in the screen, said, "Have a nice day. Keep doing, going, do whatever you need to do." And then they were gone. He was allowed to party all night. I mean, that's, and it's really weird thing happened, right? So basically, I see that they know that who you are, and depends on what even you say it. You don't even have to say, "I'm presumed that this or that." Just tell them who you are. They will take care of you. It was amazing.
So the moral is good to be the king.
Oh yeah, you don't have to do anything. You just have to say, "Hey, I need this." They will come and do it for you. They will actually hire a contractor. They will even come and cut your lawn and maybe cook for your dinners every day. I mean, you're the king. I truly believe that life exists. And the Queen of England, she lived that lifestyle. We all deserve that, but we have to do something. That's just something I will quest.
Thank you for sharing that tidbit. It's about mindset. That's what she's talking about. And standing on your square. Anybody else? We only have 45 minutes left on this call. Anybody have any questions or thoughts? Statements?
I was just going to say something.
Dr. Heather, how are you?
Oh, go ahead.
Good. How are you?
This is Manny. Good. I had a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my first question would be, I got my state EIN beginning of last month, and I did get the CP 575 PDF, and now on the last call 2 weeks ago, somebody mentioned that you can kind of mix match. It won't matter, because if they're waiting for a payment, the IRS, and I haven't accepted my CP 575, do I need to give them the one from my irrevocable that I'm gonna set up, or can I use the one that I got last?
I think what somebody was talking about last week was that if you already have a 670 voucher for your trust, you don't have to wait for a 670 voucher for your social security number or your blue card person, because you can use that payment voucher for anything. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to come from a specific entity. It could be from one of your LLCs or whatever. As long as you have a 670 payment voucher, you can use, it's transferable.
Okay, because I haven't accepted it. I was looking at I was listening to the previous calls. I was looking at the folder inside the group to make sure I do it properly. And I think I was looking at James's example. So I could just do that to the 575 that I have for the state, and it'll work for that's for the blue card person, so it won't matter.
It should be fine. But what you can do is you could just call them and say, "Hey, I need a 147C letter," and that should get you the 670 payment voucher. You could just call them and they'll send it to you for that entity.
Okay, so just call them, don't accept it, and send it in.
You could do either one, whatever you're comfortable with. You could mail it in, okay, or you can call.
Okay, and then the 670 is what I'm looking for. Then correct. I can use that to make payments.
Correct. But make sure your entity is at least 2 weeks old. It needs to be at least 2 weeks old.
Oh, I got it beginning of last month. Today is the 5th. I think it was on the 6th last month, so it's almost a month old.
Okay, cool. Should be okay.
Thank you. And then the other question is, when you do the claim your credit, Kia and Holly, for that process, I'm putting my paperwork together, and I don't have my birth certificate. I've been in the country for 32 years. I'm a citizen through naturalization, so I have my certificate, but I don't have my birth certificate. So, but I have everything else: passport, ID, social. I've been filing taxes for a long time. What would I do in regard to that? Can I just send in everything to the AG, the Secretary of State, and the
your
IRS?
naturalization certificate is just as equivalent to your birth certificate.
I'm sorry?
Your naturalization certificate is equivalent.
Oh, okay,
so it's fine.
Okay.
You can use that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to tell you, the people that come from another country, your birth certificate is in the consulate, your country consulate. You can go there and get your copy, because that's where I found too. I've been here since 1977, naturalized. I found it. I got 5 copies and I have to translate it.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I was actually, I'm from Punjab, India. I moved here when I was like 10 years old, 32 years ago. And I was, I haven't been back for a long time. Most of the family's here. And I was trying to look up online, talk to a friend over there that can maybe go to the hospital. I was trying to find out. I don't even know. It's been a long time. But yeah, it looks like I might be able to get it, but worst case I can't. Then I have my naturalization certificate from 2008.
Yeah, that's equivalent to that. So yeah, so use that. But if you really want to find your birth certificate, you can find it in your consulate. I just want to tell you that.
I might need it for some other processes where they're getting credits out of the bond. But I think that's a different process. But for Kia's process, and then to do the 1099As, Bs, I'll be okay with what I got for now. Sounds like.
Are you all set?
That's a great tip about the embassy, because I didn't even think about that. My parents are from Jamaica as well, and they were naturalized. So that's a great tip to go to the embassy to get your birth certificate. Good idea. Thank you for that.
They asked me if I remember the address, and I, it was like 64 years ago, right? So I have to call my brother, and he remembered the address. So I told them, and bingo, they found it in split second.
Yeah, I think you just need to know the name of the parents and the location. For me, same thing. It's been a long time. I lost my parents a long time ago, so
it doesn't prepare all the information, because every country have a different rules and regulation. And my country, they asked for address where I was born. That was it. No birthday, nothing, just the address.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I will look into that. And then the other question I had was in regards to the revocable trust, EIN. I was able to get a couple of online And then the last one I tried to get, IRS was giving me an error that I had to call them. And when I called them, they said I have to fax in the SS form. I was used to doing it online when I did my state EIN and my private banker EIN. So I wasn't too comfortable doing the irrevocable trust that is needed. So you need irrevocable and a sole. You need both for this process, or my EIN that I got for the state is gonna work, because aren't we putting the blue card person into the trust that we're gonna create, into the private trust?
So I'm not clear about what where you're going with it. Start again. Say it again.
To do the claim your credit process, can I use my state EIN, or I would have to get another one for irrevocable and a sole? So I need total of 3.
Does anybody else have I haven't done the claim your credits personally. I personally haven't done it. Does anybody else have experience with doing it that's on the call?
You don't need to have any other entity to do it. But if you are going to create any other entity, it should be a trust.
Okay, because that brings up my other question. Somebody was saying that if it's the irrevocable, you're under the same jurisdiction with the bad guys, I call them. So they were saying you're going to have, it might have been you on the last call a couple of weeks ago, with the foreign grantor jurisdiction. So you're out of their jurisdiction. So the claim your credit says irrevocable and a sole, but on the last call, it was gone in depth about the foreign grantor, and somebody in the chat was saying that those are the only entities the IRS request, because everybody else is dead at sea, and they're not taking this seriously till all the things are done to change the status.
Can I say something? I was going to say, what would be, just file with a 1040. You don't have to do a 1041 if you don't want to make it simple.
So for the state, 1040 is okay. But if I set up a new trust, then it'll be the 1041. So if I decide to take that route, irrevocable, sole proprietorship, or foreign grantor, which one would be more beneficial to get for these guys to take us seriously? Because right now everybody's waiting. I've been waiting, so just trying to speed things up and make sure I have a solid foundation moving forward, so we don't waste a lot of time. So what would you recommend?
Can I say something?
It all depends on how each individual wants to move. So that type of question is analogous with, what would be your favorite color 10 years from now when you live in an arcology under the sea on Titan? You don't know. You don't know. So for every individual, this question has a completely different answer. Some of them are very similar, but each of the entity types has a very specific functionality and benefit structure that they provide. Foreign grantor removes outside of the jurisdiction of the corporation. That's not to say a revocable can't operate outside that jurisdiction. You just need to know how to use it. Just as you can remain within the jurisdiction and create an ecclesiastical trust, which is not foreign grantor. And that operates also outside most jurisdiction because it's ecclesiastical. You just have to know what you're doing and how to operate at maximum efficiency. So for claim your credits, you can just do it as a blue card. You don't have as many benefits. You don't have as many protections. You can go as revocable. You have increased benefits and you have increased protections, but other limitations. You can go with foreign grantor. You got to have someone who's going to be a foreign grantor. And you can think of it as foreign as also being within the republic versus in the corporation. But you're also going to need to stand on that square a little bit harder because they're going to try and smash those two together like they've been doing for the past 100 years. So that's even going to be a harder fight. You could find someone in a foreign country that's actually pretty super easy these days that would benefit from such thing. Or you could just do it through a sole prop. It's not as easy or as simple because those are generally disregarded entities. Not that a revocable isn't a disregarded entity. They have different operations that they provide. So it's all different. And all of it really comes down to what are you most uncomfortable with? Just like we can't say, all right, everyone, we're all going to drive semis with 40-foot trailers. Some people have no idea how to do such a thing, and they're not comfortable operating such a vehicle, and they would rather have a motorbike. So whomever decides to operate with whichever entity that they feel most comfortable with and can utilize the benefits and the protections thereof, do that. There is no correct answer.
So it depends on if you're going to have two vehicles, one in the private, one in the public, and you're going to go back and forth, and that's what you pretty much mean. You can't be on one side. There's going to be things you're going to do in the public. There's things you're going to do more in the private moving forward, but still going to be a few things in the public that you're still connected to, and you're going to have to do because you can't do them on the private side, right?
Correct. Because the public side is everything that exists outside of your bedroom. If you are inside of your house and you're standing next to a window, that's the public. Yep. So everything besides what is in the private, which no one else lays eyes upon, everything else is public with various degrees. There's like so much gray area. It's ridiculous. So you have to be able to navigate with the vessel that you are most comfortable with navigating. And there could be other vessels that you would be more comfortable with, but you're unaware of them.
So maybe having one of each, and then you have your options, and then choose as the moment
or
comes.
Multiple.
But at least, multiple, and have so the multiple foundations are set up, and as the moment comes to make your move, depending on what you need to do in life, you could just do that. At least the foundation is there. So,
correct. Because it's also as such a thing as, have you created your individual private banker yet, which would be a fiduciary for multiple entities, and it of itself is merely just there to do documentation, and that's it. It is has of no form or substance. It is merely a go-between for all of your vessels. Which a sole prop can also function this way. It just doesn't have the specific benefits.
I see. You mentioned fiduciary. That brings my other question. So the Form 56, and there's a 56F. So the F is for the states, and the 56 is for the blue card person. The trust and the blue card person, just like the 1040 and the 1041. Is that the biggest difference?
No. The 56F is to declare a particular entity to be the fiduciary agent acting on behalf of the IRS.
So that would be like if we authorize CPAs, attorneys to look into our taxes, or authorizing ourselves to look into the trust, or on behalf of the Social Security person.
Well, for the purposes within the recoupers, the 56F would be utilized in the case of you are recouping the compensation. No, you're recouping the value that was created by your shopping habits on Amazon. So you would make the CFO of Amazon the fiduciary, and you would put them on notice that you are the fiscal agent acting on behalf of the IRS to collect the value for the IRS.
Okay.
And this is a very complicated topic.
Okay, so that's gonna be for the claim your credit, the 1099 A's and B's. Pretty much F comes when we're getting credits back from companies we've done business with. I think
right. It's extreme. It's one of those extreme cases because it's most individuals finds the most benefit going after obvious amounts of credit that has been taken from us. Everyone else has no idea. Like, well, we're vaguely aware of it. Like, if you get a service from a third-party service provider online, you're the product. If you get it for free, you are the product. They are selling you to everyone else, and they're making money off of it. You're getting a service for free, but they're not giving you the value that was created from your activities or your name or your behaviors, your patterns, your data. So the 56 and the 56F would be paired together to go after those. And I would not recommend it for anyone who has not had earlier successes and has a finance to create a team to go after people, right? Because you're trying to go after like the extreme things at that point. You're mining for diamonds underwater with no air tank at that point.
So start off with the 56 first, and then do some processes, and then later do the 56.
Well, the 56 for the claim your credits process. For the claim your credits, highly recommend go after the easy stuff first, because then you actually have a financial foundation to work with. Then go further if you so choose, because the 56 at that point would be you're letting the IRS know that you have a fiduciary, which would be like a trustee or a sole prop that is performing work on behalf of the blue card. They are the fiduciary. They are the one with the authority. So it's not the blue card, it's them, whatever the nebulous them is.
So do the 56, put myself as the trustee, get comfortable with that first.
Yes, and those two roles are separate, and you will have meetings between a trustee and a fiduciary, and you have to be prepared to document that twice. And you will have two different ledgers.
Yes, and thank you. That being said, so 56, becoming a trustee, that goes for each entity. It goes for the EIN of the state. It goes for the sole prop. It goes for the private banker. Goes for the FG. So each entity, that would need to be done for each entity to have that position, so you can make the next move.
Man, you're using the word trustee. That has to do with the trust. So make sure that you're clear on that.
Yes. So the trust and the 1041 side.
Correct. Only.
Only. Okay, now on the blue card side, since so I guess the non-deceit letter would put me in charge. We'll use the word in charge on the
non-decedent and the 56. The 56 saying you're the fiduciary. You're not the trustee. You're the fiduciary. You're the authorized representative for the blue card person.
That's a totally different hat. That's a totally different hat.
Right. So you got to be clear about which position you're coming from and what you're speaking about when you're dealing with anybody.
Yeah, one thing I know, like the last couple of phone calls that we've had, Steve has said, you know what your particular goal is. So if what the questions that you're asking are great questions, because some people need to hear them, but you can't go from step 1 to step 5 and then you miss 2, 3, and 4, because you're trying to get to the end goal faster. It's a marathon and it's not a sprint. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but your questions are valid because someone needs to hear it. But some of us, not saying you or myself or anyone else, but some of us really only need a certain amount per year to survive. And it should be the path of least resistance to get there. Because when you start adding all these extra things, that means you are responsible to manage all these other things also. So if you have to manage 5 different things where we only needed to manage 1 or 2 and still be okay, because at the end of the day, it's just about having your time back and peace of mind to where you don't have to run the rat race every day. And I think that's where we're all trying to go. But we see like millions and millions and millions of dollars, and we think, and some of us think like, yo, I just want to get all of everything that is owed to me because y'all owe it to me. Guess what? They're not going to give it to you because they already know that you don't know what to do with it, because if you did, you would have had it already. So just be mindful of those things. And I would just suggest anyone that's on the call, including myself, and I talk to myself first, because I get excited about the numbers that I know that's available. But at the same time, I also have to be reasonable, like, yo, it's a process to get there. And even if I got there, am I really going to be okay with all that it comes with? Maybe I only need about $300,000 a year. Maybe I only need to make 500. Or some of us, we good if we get 100. So just because it's an abundance there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go chop it all down. That's all I'm saying.
Can I contribute something? What I've seen from these processes, some people get it because they just submit the right thing. And some people lose it because they don't know what they're doing. So they could give it to you, they could take it away from you.
Correct. And I've said this like in lives past, and I'll reiterate it here again. Like the Claim Your Credits ABB process is an emulation of a thing trustees can perform. Right? So if you know what you're working with as a trustee, the 24% general for the ABB process is like the bottom. Trustees can recoup 100% with the fiduciaries. Like these two have to work together. These two roles are synergistic. But people must know what they're doing. These are advanced topics. If you go with Claim Your Credits ABB, that's fairly mid-level knowledge and skills and competencies. Trustees must be top tier, and they must be extreme with how they act and treat. Because if they mess up something and they don't act in the most prudent manner for the beneficiaries, that's prison time. And I mean this in a very nice general sense. Like, go down the paths of trustees and fiduciaries, you must know what you're doing. You must know laws. So it's start with simple things, get a foundation, spend the time to learn what you need to know to operate as a trustee. Because once you can do that, you operate in trust law, which is like 1,000 years old or longer. It is older than the country we're in, America. It's older than most countries on the planet. It goes back to Roman times. Trust law is the law everything else framework works around, and go back to that into religion. Those were trusts and covenants. So we're talking 2,000, 10,000 years. But you must know how to navigate as those entities. And it cannot be about what I want. It's about what the beneficiaries need.
And
keep in mind, trustees for these big trusts, dynasty trusts, and these Trump trusts, they're groomed their entire life to manage these trusts.
Right. They're
That's their
generational trustees.
entire life. Right. That is their entire life is trust management. And we're coming out of left field, going to start a trust and start managing it. We just got to be mindful of that.
Yeah, so give yourself grace.
Right.
You know what? I truly believe that there's all kinds of things. You want to manage it, but you want to be a king, and you get the final answer. Hey, do this, give me this, give me that. Voila. Like a genie in the bottle. So everything is available. You want to be a king? You don't want to get anything involving commerce. They will do everything for you. So, hey, today I feel like to have this. They will give it to you. Do you want to? I want to have a garden and I want to farm myself. Okay, we'll prepare a garden for you. I want to feed 1,000 homeless people. Can you establish a homeless center? Oh yes, we'll do it for you. Because you have the money, they will do it for you.
Yeah, so I guess starting with the credit cards and maybe a car loan would be a good start with the 1099A and the B, and just get comfortable with that. And like the gentleman said earlier, 300 is more than enough. So thank you for all the good advice, and I think that's it for me for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your questions and your comments, and thank you for everybody else for supporting. This is what community does. We only have 20 more minutes left on this call, so is anybody else has any more questions, comments? This is the time to ask. You don't have to raise your hand. Just unmute yourself and start talking.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I did my revocation of election in 2023, and then I received the voucher and the inquiry form, what the gentleman was speaking on earlier. The LTR, I think, is 0131. So my question is, with that voucher, can I use that to pay off other stuff, like say like for my mom, or only for my account?
Making
if I owe any payment.
Any payment.
Okay.
It's no different than having a checkbook.
Okay.
You just need to know how to utilize it.
Well, the video, I think it's like a 12-minute video that kind of like showed how to fill it out. I think it's on this channel and the other channels. So I think that kind of like explained it. But I just didn't know what it was for. I was cleaning up and I came across it and I'm like, oh, it says use for payments. So I never got rid of it. But now coming back around, I see like, okay, it's for payments to, I guess, discharge or get rid of debt or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, because this form, they have created the substance or the form of the substance for us. Like, we don't have to use it because it's just a negotiable instrument. That's all that you're creating. So the details of a negotiable instrument are codified in the UCC.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is in the UCC. We don't need to use the 670, right? We recommend people follow the steps so they can learn the process to gain the competency. So when you have the 670, you have a great idea of there's only specific pieces missing in order to create a negotiable instrument. Right?
Right.
It's like the other gentleman said, you can't go from step 1 to step 5, or particularly from step 1 to step 100. It's incredibly difficult to even navigate at that level because you don't have the competency. And the recoupers there's a vast array of competencies, right? Some people are just brand new in because something happened and someone's car got repoed. That's how they got here. They're brand new. Never been good with financial literacy in their entire life. So they're fresh off the block. Others have been doing stuff like myself. I was in finance for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a much different view of competency and how to navigate. So a lot of these topics come extremely easy to me because I've been exposed to it for a very long time. Some of them haven't. It's been a mind shift change. So it's building competencies. None of us have to use their forms. This is another thing about being a sovereign. We created the government. We don't have to use their forms. The IRS even indicates we don't have to use their forms as long as we provide them the information in a manner that they can utilize for their process. It's just what we're most accustomed to. So you can use this used for payments for any payment. You can do that. Or you can do it in a manner in which you're comfortable with, getting it into your IRS so that it gets into one of the bank accounts that you have authority over and can control, and then transact in FRNs. That's a perfectly acceptable manner to do it. It all depends on how each of us wish to navigate. And a topic that is not discussed pretty much in Recoupers because it's very advanced by itself is cryptocurrency and how everything is transitioning to crypto. 100% of the financial system is transitioning to crypto. So just to like throw, additional things on everyone else's plates. If I say the word crypto and you have no idea what I'm talking about, there's a huge amount of information that you have to learn, must learn. It is coming. It's a matter of time. So there's a lot to this entire thing because there's hundreds, if not thousands of years of information that we need to cram and learn and reconfigure how we ourselves, our identity is presented.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and now, okay. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You go ahead.
One more question. If the ES&B process was done and you received the green card back with the bank stamp on the green card, can you take that card and your transcripts in to meet with the private banker to set up the account?
Probably not.
Okay, because
someone
said that that's what they were doing. I was just wondering.
If you have a high level of competency and you can fluently speak banker, sure. Mm-hmm. But you'll also need to be able to understand legalese. Mm-hmm. Like if you have those capabilities, absolutely. For the general population, I mean like 95%, no. That is a great way if you don't know exactly what you're doing because it's a minefield. If you go in there and you say the wrong things, they will flag your account, which will notify all the Federal Reserve banks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely dangerous to navigate and not know what you're doing.
Right.
So be very careful. I mean, you can go approach a private banker to see if you can befriend them, to see if your energies align, you match, right? Mm-hmm. And see if they can help educate you. And if you feel that they're a good fit, bring up the topic, right? Because one of the things in the finance world is you must find someone who gets you. Because if the customer and the banker personalities don't work together, that relationship will never work out.
Right.
Because they will not be able to fulfill the customer's demands. So, like lots of people are doing lots of things, and I know lots of people have been approaching lots of banks, brokerages, fund managers, but if the people that they're interacting with, it doesn't work out, then it doesn't matter. No matter the level of competency on both sides, if the two people's personalities don't work out, it will not work out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not comfortable talking to people, get out there and keep trying it to build up that confidence level to just be able to just bring up finance stuff. If they don't know what you're talking about, drop it.
So if it does work out and you have that green card and everything, then basically it's a go. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's a very steep slope. Because they want to see like lots of additional pieces of documentation to indicate your competency right off the rip. So if as soon as you broach the topic, you better have all that documentation that you don't know about. Yes, and for everyone who couldn't distinguish what Niels was saying due to the feedback, Niels is speaking about the CP 575 and doing a 1099A to acquisition the value of the CP 575, and then taking it further. Some of it was garbled for me in order to claim back that value. And I believe another gentleman was talking about using an OID for such purposes. And this is one of the things that we all need to like recognize. As living beings, our value is unlimited and is only restrained by our self-imposed restrictions. Another way of saying that is you're only as worth as much as you believe you are. And any of these entities that we create, the value that they have within them is the value that we put into them. Since we are the unlimited beings, we are taking a piece of that and putting it into these other entities and converting it into a usable credit within the finance system. So Niels is outside of America, but he is also attempting to do this. So he's a trailblazer in his own right. But yeah, Niels, I mean, you can definitely go down that route. Just be prepared for all those additional hurdles since you are outside. But if you have those entities within the country, air quote, it's no different than us being here. Just your physical location is much further away. Okay, absolutely. So, and he's trying to utilize his resources over there to interface with our systems over here to get that value out. And I'm aware of others that are doing things in different countries also like that. So it's rough. The entire system globally is designed to just extract value from us beings, and they profit from it. So times are changing.
I would like to contribute something. When we are in this path of liberation, financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, our Father in heaven actually leading us to heaven. Now, think about this. When they said there's a sovereign and sovereign without subject. So what is a sovereign with the subject? What is a sovereign without the subject? Just meditate on that.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve.
Yo.
Can I role play with you for a second for someone who's on the line who may be new that is afraid to come forward? Not for myself, but for someone else. Can we role play just right quick?
Sure, because I know there's lots of them.
I'm a newbie. I want to do this ABB process, but you said that the ledger has to be balanced on both sides. Should I not do 2 A's and 2 B's, or just 2 A, or just 1 A and 2 B's?
Well, you can do 2 A's. You just have to be able to recognize which transaction the A is for. So the initial A is, if you're brand new, you'll be doing it from like your blue card perspective. The A is to identify that the blue card is reclaiming the value that it had extended through some extension of credit that an entity monetized for itself and didn't share or inform, which is why you're reclaiming it. That would be on the initial one. The first B would be on that reclamation, the acquisition. So that is an acknowledgement of I, the blue card, extended credit to that entity. The A is the acquisition of that. Like I'm acquiring it. Second B would be the reversal of such things. which is actually technically called marshaling. So it's a return of the value, a portion of the value. At this point, you could technically do another A to also identify of the acquisition of that reclamation of credit. You could, it's not required. You could do it because you're not abandoning it, and that is self-evident by the second B in and of itself. So, but you could also put the IRS on notice that your entity has acquired it, just to further your case.
And so when the B, right. So when the B's, I see it took a while, 2 months, 3 months, however long, and it came on my transcript. I see the B's on my transcript, or that second B on my transcript. How do I go about making that into where I draw it down now? Because I see 800,000, 400,000 in B's on my transcript. How do I convert it?
With a simple and safe way, or you could say the very risk-adverse, prudent method of doing it, would be to, for that particular tax year that you see it on the transcript, you're going to need to file an end-of-year tax report for the individual, which is a 1040 or 1040X, depending on if you have or have not filed initially. In there, I would recommend not being ambitious with your drawdown, because the IRS likes to scrutinize things highly that don't fit prior established patterns. So if, for example, like you say, $800,000 in credit, but in the years prior to this, you have had, air quote, W-2 wage and income of $30,000 or $70,000. $800,000 is a huge outlier. It's a red flag. They're going to investigate. A prudent thing to do would be to claim a small portion of it, like say 100,000 initially, because you can always refile to draw down more, and you can also push it forward to another tax year. So while it is very tempting to try and grab all of it, it may not be the prudent thing to do, and it could delay the process significantly.
And now am I filing a 1099 INT, OID, or miscellaneous? Yes.
We're at the end of our
Yes.
call right now, so we can't go too much deeper.
Okay. This is going to be my last question. The 1099 OID, INT, or miscellaneous, in order to make sure that draw goes through.
Well, technically none of them.
Okay.
Because the INT would be you're declaring that the value that was already there has earned an additional interest. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't be applicable. The OID technically should have been filed at the very beginning of the extension of the credit. So that would not be appropriate at this point in time. The miscellaneous may be if you are indicating and including in the end of your report, your 1040 or 1040X, especially on a Schedule C, where exactly that miscellaneous income or non-taxable income is being allocated to. However, in the ABB's case, this is a emulation of marshaling of reversionary interest due to fraudulent contracts. And the IRS has particular documentation on how to execute such things for fiduciaries. This is a return of capital. It is not taxable. So a miscellaneous would also not be appropriate on this because it's a simple return of capital extension.
Thank you, and I hope that helped everybody out. That's all my end goal was, to help make sure people got some questions answered that they were afraid to ask.
Yeah, thank you for that, because it is daunting getting into this stuff. I mean, just talking to a bunch of strangers you don't know is very daunting for a lot. So thank you for that.
Hey, can I do one last question here on the 575? and my experience with the IRS last week. Is that okay? Or are we closing up?
Go ahead, make it quick.
All right. So you were saying something about claiming the 575. So what is your actual, because there's many different things that you can do that I think would be claiming it or utilizing it. And the one that I did, I was going through all these 575s over the years that I've opened. And so I've like taken the, or called the IRS, and then I got with one agent and he was able to get me the address change is what I did with him. Address change on all of those, and with letters being sent out. So I'll get them all at the same time in a couple of weeks. And in so doing, that's basically claiming. Correct, from what I understood you said, Steve?
Yeah, because the whole point of the CP 575, the reason they put it out and the reason we want to accept it is when it's initially issued, it comes out with a no-bod code. That no-bod code means that there is no captain of such commercial vessel, so they have not docked it in the appropriate department which services those vessels. That's why we accept it, so that we can claim that there is such a captain of the vessel, and at the same time we're telling them this is the value of this vessel, so that we're putting them on notice, which is acting in honor.
That's awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, y'all, for everything today. God bless y'all.
Another good Saturday live call. We're wrapping it up. So thank you for all who had questions. Thank you for all who just was even on the call just listening. We appreciate your energy and your participation. And we'll be back here in 2 weeks, because this call is every 2 weeks. And I will put the recording in the live chat folder in give me about 10 minutes, because it should like populate. And then once I get it, then I'll just copy it right on over. So you should have the recording in about 10 minutes inside of the Recoupers Live folder archives. Thank you guys for another great Saturday, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Doc, we appreciate you.
All right, take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, for everything.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Bye-bye.
God bless. God bless.